incident occurred during these days. Perhaps due to accumulated fatigue. I developed a fever and fell ill. When I was preparing to go to the hospital after calling in sick to work, my husband said, "Wait a minute, are you really going to the hospital?" "Yes, I am." "Just a fever, isn't it? There's no need to go to the hospital for a mild fever, especially when we need to save money." "What?" I was surprised by his words, but managed to argue back. "But what if it's a viral fever like the flu? We have fever reducers at home, right? Just take those and rest. You'll get better. Going to the hospital is a waste of money." "That's not true. Listen to me. No matter what, don't go to the hospital. We're saving money, remember?" After hearing those words, I had no choice but to rest at home, and ended up being bedridden for 3 days. Since then, my distress towards my husband gradually began to increase. Months later, to check on my mother-in-law's well-being, we visited my husband's parents' house. As I stepped into the living room, clothes and travel bags were scattered everywhere. Were you in the middle of sorting something out?" I asked, and my mother-in-law replied with a beaming smile. "Oh, actually, I'm going to Cancun this time. A trip to Cancun." "Yes, that's right. Sarah said she would come with me." "Amy, how about you? Do you want to come along?" "Really?" As I was surprised, my sister-in-law, Sarah, next to me started clapping her hands with joy, saying, "That's a great idea. Wait, what is this? We've been sending them money, and they're happily planning a trip to Cancun. This can't be happening." Without noticing my speechlessness, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law continued to excitedly talk about the Cancun trip. "I'm so excited. It's my first time in Cancun," my mother-in-law said, and Sarah replied, "Me too. And it's surprisingly affordable this time of year." "Exactly, Amy. Don't worry. If you can come with us, we'll cover the travel expenses." My mother-in-law continued, "Really, we've been so grateful to you ever since Kevin got married," added Sarah. Unaware of my feelings, they were engrossed in their conversation. Finally reaching my limit, I confronted my smiling mother-in-law and sister-in-law, who were inviting me to the trip. "Stop joking. A trip abroad. What are you really thinking?" I raised my voice. "What?" Startled by my sudden reproach, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law froze with their mouths open. Even though they were shaken, they tried to calm me down. "Amy, what's wrong? Did we say something odd? Maybe you don't like traveling? Did we invite you too forcefully? It's not about that. How can you even think of inviting me on a trip? Do you understand our situation?" "Amy, calm down. What caused you to be so angry? Really, if you have the means to go on a trip, I'd rather you pay off your debts first." "What debts?" I let all my feelings out towards them. "We can hardly save money, and even when I am sick, we can't afford to go to the hospital, yet we prioritize sending you money. And yet, how can you calmly plan a trip abroad? Please consider our situation a little." After pouring out all my emotions, I noticed tears streaming down my cheeks. Whether it was anger, sadness, or both, I wasn't sure. However, I was certain that the frugal lifestyle until now had been more painful than I thought. While crying, I collapsed on the spot. Seeing this, my husband rushed over in surprise. "Hey, you! What are you saying to my mom?" But, that's enough. We're going home." Kevin tried to pull me up forcefully. At that moment, my mother-in-law spoke up quietly. "Wait a minute. What debts are you talking about?" "What? But didn't you have a huge debt?" Surprised by my response, my mother-in-law's expression changed. "There's no such thing. There's still my husband's pension and inheritance left, and I wouldn't be able to go on an overseas trip if I had debts." "What? But..." In that instant, I realized the full picture of the situation. Anger welled up inside me. The reason why my husband's income didn't increase despite his daily overtime. Why I was the only one getting thinner and sick, despite the strict savings. And why my usually polite mother-in-law never thanked us for the money we sent. Then, I faced a shocking truth. The need for sending money, as my husband had been saying, was actually a fabrication. There was never a need to send them money. I could have gone to the doctor immediately when I got sick. I would have realized it if I had thought about it a bit more. Realizing this made the pointlessness of our past frugal life evident. But in our financially tight life, it had been hard to make a calm judgment. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law on the scene seemed to realize the truth behind my husband's words. They looked at Kevin with a doubtful gaze. "Kevin, what's the meaning of this? Amy says she was sending money because you had debts. What's all this about?" Kevin was clearly looking for an excuse. "No, it's different. Actually, how is it different? Explain it clearly."